6:30. I'd like to open the Administrative Services Committee meeting for Tuesday, February 20, 2018. Please call the roll.
Councilor Corradino.
Here.
Councilor DeMassey. Here. Councilor Hill.
Here.
Councilor Tesserero.
Here.
Councilor Wilmot.
Here. A motion to approve the minutes of February 5th, 2018. Councilor Hill. Councilor Tesserero.
Councilor Corradino.
Yes.
Councilor DeMassey.
Yes.
Councilor Hill.
Yes.
Councilor Tesserero.
Yes.
Councilor Wilmot.
Yes. Is there any old business to bring up in this committee? Seeing none, moving right along to new business under authorization. Number 1, Mike Riley, purchasing agent, received bids for the rehabilitation of the sanitary sewers of the combined sanitary sewer project, Phase 2, second 25%, and the low bid was submitted by Debbie D. Malone, Trucking and Excavating, in the amount of $634,844. Each of us received some documentation to this. Is there anybody here? Mr. Johnson, would you like to say a few words on this?
Yeah, this is a consent decree project, and it's to do the rehabilitation of sewers that were in the area where we separated last year. And we got 3 bids. This is a low bid, so I think we should move on it.
All right, thank you. In the interest of open government, I'll read the 3 bids. W.D. Malone, $634,844. National Water Main, $668,640. And Arnold, $753,740. Any other comments or concerns here? I'd like a motion. Councilor DeMassey, Councilor Tesoriero.
Councilor Corradino.
Yes.
Councilor DeMassey.
Yes.
Councilor Hill.
Yes.
Councilor Tesserero.
Yes.
Councilor Wilmot.
Yes. Item number 2, Brian Chetney, Executive Director of the Oswego City County Youth Bureau, requests authorization from Mayor William J. Barlow, Jr. to sign annual agreements between the City of Oswego and the Oswego YMCA for the operation of the East Side Youth Center and the skateboard park. I received a call from Mr. Chetney earlier today saying that he couldn't make tonight's meeting, but he asked if I had any questions. I think for Councilor Klozik and I, who've been here a couple of years, we can say that this is a standard contract that we've been renewing with the Oswego County Youth Bureau, and it's same price, same deal, same specs as before. Does anybody have any questions? Seeing none, can I have a motion? Councilor Hill? Councilor DeMassey?
Councilor Corradino.
Yes.
Councilor DeMassey.
Yes.
Councilor Hill.
Yes.
Councilor Tesserero.
Yes.
Councilor Wilmot.
Yes. Item number 3, Randall B. Griffin, Fire Chief, requests permission to hold a blood drive through the American Red Cross on March 26, 2018, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. on the East Side Fire Station. I don't see anybody here to talk about this, but again, we've received information in our packet that it's pretty straightforward and it's self-explanatory. Are there any concerns, questions?
I absolutely support it. It's a great thing.
Well, seeing no concerns or questions, can I have a motion? Councilor Tesoriero, Councilor Wilmot?
Councilor Corradino.
Yes.
Councilor DeMassey.
Yes.
Councilor Hill.
Yes.
Councilor Tesserero.
Yes.
Councilor Wilmot.
Yes. Item number 4, the Engineering Department requests the mayor be authorized to sign amendment number 1 with GHD Consulting Engineers, LLC, to include construction administration services for the combined sewer separation Phase 2, second 25% planned rehabilitation of sanitary sewers agreement for professional services. Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, GHD put together the contract drawings for that, and this is a natural consequence of it, construction inspection as well as administration. And it's in line with other pricing that we've gotten.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Johnson or any other concerns? Seeing none, can I have a motion? Councilor Hill, Councilor Tesoriero?
Councilor Corradino.
Yes.
Councilor DeMassey.
Yes.
Councilor Hill.
Yes.
Councilor Tesserero.
Yes.
Councilor Wilmot.
Yes. Item number 5, the Engineering Department requests the mayor be authorized to sign amendment number 8 with GHD Consulting Engineers, LLC, in the amount of $21,000 for the required consent decree quarterly reporting to continue from April 28, 2018 to January 28, 2019. Mr. Johnson?
Okay, now, here again, The reporting is a part of the consent decree, and it'll continue until 2023. GHD has provided the reporting since day one, since 2010. We've never missed a schedule, and I think they've done a good job at it.
All right. Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Johnson or concerns about this? Councilor Tesorio.
This is an annual renewal. Yeah, and but there's quarterly reports, but we renew the agreement on a yearly basis. So this amount carries you through till this time next year again. They'll cover the 4 reports. That was submitted on time.
Quick question. I know you give the council updates on the progress of the consent decree. Is that information that you provide us, is that from this report? Or is this something you do internally?
Yes, the reports update all the consent decree projects and the schedule, as well as maintains the schedule and the information for, there's a bank account in terms of, as we remove stormwater at a 5-to-1 ratio, we can add sanitary sewer flow back into the system. So there's a certain amount of paperwork and tracking of different items. And as we remove stormwater, we can expand and allow people to tie into our system on the west side.
Okay. Thank you for clearing that up. Any questions? Any other questions or concerns? Seeing none, can I have a motion? Councilor DeMasi, Councilor Wilmot?
Councilor Corradino.
Yes.
Councilor DeMasi.
Yes.
Councilor Hill.
Yes.
Councilor Tesorero.
Yes.
Councilor Wilmot.
Yes. Item number 6, Linda DeMasi, 2nd Ward Councilor, requests favorable consideration of the request to use public space for East 13th Street. Councilor DeMasi, would you like to elaborate?
I sure will. The property at 180 East Cayuga Street is up for sale. The woman had moved to South Carolina, beautiful home. Well, they're getting ready to close on it. And as this new survey came in, the new garage that was put on in 2001, it's 7.5 feet over the line on the city property. And it's right where East 13th Street is. That it doesn't bother the road whatsoever. The roadway's closed. If ever the city were to open it, which I don't know that they ever would, it would run right into the back of the Holiday Inn Express. So with that being said, what we're hoping to do is to get consideration for public space so they can use that. But what would happen is, what I'm hopeful is that there'd be a stipulation that when the time comes, if the shed fell, caved in, anything such as that, they would have to put a new one or such onto their own property. There is, however, a chance, depending on where it goes from here, is they're taking a look at the possibility of being able to purchase that property from the city. Mr. Johnson even might have some information on that. They're looking into there's water lines there, and Mr. Kels was going to take a look at it with his team to see if it's far enough away where they can still do work that there's a possibility that they can sell that. But in the interim, I'm asking for approval to go ahead and pass this with the stipulation that they could go ahead and close that in this case, that if that property ever fell or anything, it would move over. Or if the city ever wanted to open that road, it'll be stipulated as such that they can take back over that property.
Very good. Any questions for the council? Seeing none, I have a motion. Councilor Wilmot, Councilor Tesorio.
Councilor Corradino.
Yes.
Councilor DeMasi.
Yes.
Councilor Hill.
Yes.
Councilor Tesorero.
Yes.
Councilor Wilmot.
Yes.
And we need a resolution.
Resolution. Is this a resolution?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor DeMasi will do that. Item number 7, Thomas Kells, DPW Commissioner, is requesting approval to modify the existing fee structure for dockage at Wright's Landing and the International Marina to include a half-season rate. Mr. Kells, would you like to provide any other information?
Counselor, this was never brought in front of you, I guess, years ago when they established this. The clerk's office actually picked up on this and thought it's right to bring it in front of you.
Anybody have any questions or concerns? Again, he did supply plenty of documentation here explaining what the issue was, and we're just formalizing the rates. Any other concerns? Seeing none, can I have a motion? Councilor Cesario, Councilor Hill?
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
Counselor DeMassey.
Yes.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Tesserero.
Yes.
Counselor Wilmot.
Yes. Item number 8, Nathan Emmons, Director of the Rental Assistance Office, requests approval to send HQS Inspector to attend the NYSBOC Central Chapter 13th Annual Education Conference to be held at the Holiday Inn, 441 Electronics Parkway, Liverpool, New York, 13088, April 10th through April 12th. Mr. Emmons, would you like to say a few words about this?
There we go. This is to send our building inspector to required training. As you may know, the office building inspections based upon New York State codes now under the guidance of Mr. Rudgick and Mayor Barlow, and that was passed last December. So this is training for him to be able to conduct those building inspections. The same training that was passed by the council a couple weeks ago for the code enforcement officers.
Thank you. Questions? Councilor Tesverry.
Correct. Yeah.
And the only expense I see is the registration fee. No overnights. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, can I have a motion? Councilor Hill, Councilor Tesverry.
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
Counselor DeMassey.
Yes.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Tesserero.
Yes.
Counselor Wilmot.
Yes.
And we need a resolution.
Need a resolution, Mr. Emmons? Thank you. Item number 9, Justin Rudgick, Community Development Director, received a request from Julie Chetney on behalf of the Oswego County Autism Task Force to organize the Outrun Autism 5K event to be held on April 7, 2018. The event will be held from 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., beginning at 29 East First Street. They're requesting a police escort to lead the race. Mr. Rudgick.
Thank you. This is a recurring event. They had this event last year. They're asking to promote this event again this year. They're not requesting any road closures. In lieu of the road closures, they're asking for a police escort, which was provided last year. So it's pretty much the same event, same services as the year past. It's pretty straightforward.
Questions? I did have one minor question. Usually when we get a request for a parade or any type of road race, I usually attach a map. And it tells me where you're starting, but it doesn't tell me where it goes through and where it ends. Could you elaborate?
There was a map included in the Innovis online packet submission, so I don't know why it wasn't included in this. So it starts at this place and it ends at this place. It's a 3-mile race. So I mean, they kind of, without having a map in front of me, and I apologize for that, but it was included in the online communication. So
I'm sure we'll correct that going forward.
absolutely.
All right. Any other concerns? Thank you for answering that one. Seeing none, can I have a motion? Councilor Tesverrio, Councilor DeMassey.
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
Counselor DeMassey.
Yes.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Tesserero.
Yes.
Counselor Wilmot.
Yes.
And we need a resolution.
I will do one.
Thank you. Item number 10, Justin Rudgick, Community Development Director, received a request from the Oswego Lions Club regarding the 6th Annual River's Edge Craft Show to be held on Sunday, June 10, 2018, between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. They're requesting use of public space at Breakneck Park, use of the bandstand, a waiver of the noise ordinance, waiver of the open container ordinance, use of the parking of parking lots for vendor parking, and permission to place several frame signs at various locations advertising the craft show. Mr. Rudgick?
Same thing at the previous event. It's a reoccurring event. It's the 6th annual River's Edge Craft Show. Again, it's the same request as years prior, so nothing had changed other than solidifying the date and being able to market it and promote it.
All right. Any concerns or questions? Seeing none, can I have a motion? Counselor Hill, Counselor DeMassey.
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
Counselor DeMassey.
Yes.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Tesorero.
Yes.
Counselor Wilmot.
Yes.
I will do a resolution.
Thank you. Now answering my questions before I ask them. Item number 11, Mayor William J. Barlow, Jr. in the Office of Economic Development requests a formal resolution by the City of Oswego Common Council to support the elevation of Fort Ontario Military Complex to a national monument status. And would you like to,
Sure.
Councilor Hill?
As most of you know, I'm involved with the Safe Haven Museum as president of the board of directors, and we recently held a meeting to discuss the current status of our process to get to national monument status. And to give a brief update, the legislation that would authorize the study to determine if Fort Ontario should become a national park made it through the House of Representatives, and it went into committee in the Senate, came out of committee, and now it sits waiting to be put to the floor for a vote. So what we're trying to do is lobby our senators, lobby anyone that's involved in the process to get the ball rolling again so that this can go to the end of the process, get to the president's desk, and then start that study so we can achieve the national park status. So really it's ceremonial. There's really nothing that we're doing or acting on other than just saying that the city supports this project, supports the fort, supports the history, supports Safe Haven, and working towards getting that site to that.
Very good. Thank you very much. Any comments? Yes, Councilor DeMassey.
How far along the process, obviously, for how long it's been going on. So where are you in the process? Hearing some good news?
Well, there's kind of two pieces right now. There's something that's going on currently, which is the Special Reconnaissance Survey, and that's where the National Park Service has already come into Fort Ontario, done a survey of the site, and they're working on putting together kind of a mini study, a lower budget study of the site, which will then be rolled into the larger study, which is what we're looking for the support for. The larger study is a 3-year maximum study where the National Park Service, in conjunction with other departments, will make a recommendation to Congress to determine whether the site should become a national park. So we are in the middle of the reconnaissance survey, and we are very close to having the legislation passed to start the Fort Ontario Study Act, which is the largest survey. And then it would be a maximum period of 3 years until they could make a recommendation on whether it becomes a national park.
Awesome.
All right. Any other questions from the council? Yes,
Oh,
Councilor Bozick.
just a historical update for the new members. If you guys aren't aware of the significance, most people are fixated on the modern 20th century significance of Safe Haven, obviously being the only refuge of the Holocaust, World War II. But going back again, international significance of Fort Ontario, it deserves not just the national park status, but also World Heritage recognition by UNESCO. Because Oswego, you got to go back here. You got to remember, like, start with Champlain. Let's pick up with the French, the English. This was the jewel of empire. The significance of the events that took place in Fort Ontario long before the events of World War II really make it this site one of the most unique early on. You remember, there was no Syracuse, there was no Rochester. Before the Erie Canal, you got to pick up and look at that history here. When the English built the first fort here 300 years, almost 300 years ago, in 1722. The events that took place just down through the ages, we're looking at things like Pontiac, the chieftain coming in for his final peace conference. The 7 Years' War, an international global conflict, arguably the First World War, the modern era we live in. Jump up to the War of 1812, Revolutionary War significance. The list goes on right through see today reflects that. So of course, we go back to the first, if you guys aren't aware of the whole history, a lot of people aren't. This site was there for long been preserving the significance. So I appreciate all the work that our Congress and Tax Force has done to push this through. I know Evan's done a lot, Mayor Barlow, and I obviously have to all support this tonight. I hope this
Thank you, Councilor Gozick, for the brief history lesson. I see a concerned citizen in the back row has a comment.
Gentlemen, I am a card-carrying member of the National Parks Association, and I know more about that, what's going on at the fort, than some of you. You're looking at 5 years. There's a lot of permission slips that come out there, too, by the way. They got to go through the city, state, feds, everything else. There's a lot to go through here. I'm not saying it's not going to go through. It's just the bureaucracy. I hope Mr. Trump will take care of it. You know what I'm saying? And as far as the history of the city of Oswego, I'm ready to start giving you a little history lesson yourself, Mr. Gozick. When it comes to that canal situation, they proposed here to bring this up north here before they wanted to go west from Syracuse. And your founding fathers didn't want to share the load. The piece of the pie was a little small, okay? So, guess what? They lost. And then one more history lesson, because I remember last week when that elevator operator, I just got to get this out here, I'm sorry, okay? Thyssen Krupp. Does anybody remember those names? Oh, by the way, Krupp was in the Nazi box over there at that, what is the name of that place over there? That, what do they call it? What was it? Nuremberg. Thank you very much, historian. The both of them were back in the, I can't believe how this is gone. These people are off the hook right now, by the way, but their original owners were Nazi sympathizers. I was kind of looking at that thing there the other day, and I said, my God, they were in the box over there. They had Jews over there killing them and everything else. And now, look at them, they're helping us out with our elevators. Thank you very much, Robbie. You've always been kind to me. And I do shovel my walk, by the way.
We'll get to that later.
Thank you, Eric.
Are there any other comments, historical or non-historical?
Anytime you need them, I'm here.
Seeing none, can I have a motion? Councilor Tesrerio, Councilor Wilmot.
Councilor Corradino.
Yes.
Councilor DeMassey.
Yes.
Councilor Hill.
Yes.
Councilor Tesserero.
Yes.
Councilor Wilmot.
Yes.
And we need a resolution.
And we need a resolution. I'll do one. I'm sure Mr. Rudzik, he's right on the ball. He's the man. Item number 12, Thomas Kells, DPW Commissioner, received a request from the NYSDOT in regards to Route 104 project within city limits. Proposed construction and reconstruction / improvement of Route 104 will take place between West Line Road and East 13th Street. Mr. Kells, is there anything you want to add to this? Short and sweet. Are there any other comments from the council elsewhere? Seeing none, can I have a motion? Councilor Tesrerio, Councilor DeMassey.
Councilor Corradino.
Yes.
Councilor DeMassey.
Yes.
Councilor Hill.
Yes.
Councilor Tesserero.
Yes.
Councilor Wilmot.
Yes. Item number 13, Lieutenant Charles Sear is requesting permission to send 2 police officers to the 2018 New York State Tactical Team Leadership Forum to be held in Saratoga, New York, from March 7, 2018 through March 9, 2018. Lieutenant?
Yeah, this allows 2 of our members from the special response team to head to this forum and meet with other tactical team members and kind of see what's going on in the tactical world and get some leadership training to bring back to the team here in the city of Oswego to make it a stronger team here for us in the city.
Any questions, Lieutenant? Can I have a motion? Councilor Hill? Councilor Tesrerio?
Councilor Corradino.
Yes.
Councilor DeMassey.
Yes.
Councilor Hill.
Yes.
Councilor Tesserero.
Yes.
Councilor Wilmot.
Yes. Lieutenant Charles Sear is requesting permission to send 2 police officers to the Rescue Task Force for Law Enforcement course, which will be held March 13, 2018 through March 14, 2018 in Oriskany, New York. Okay?
This is some training that, with the active shooter going on, the Rescue Task Force is a group that goes in and coordinates with fire departments to go into a warm zone to do some rescue on downed individuals to try to save more folks. So it's just to bring this training back and then train some folks that we're going to be doing in June at the fire department.
Each of us did get additional information in the packet as far as describing what the course entailed. Anybody have any questions for the lieutenant? Seeing none, can I have a motion? Councilor DeMasi, Councilor Tesorio?
Councilor Corradino.
Yes.
Councilor DeMasi.
Yes.
Councilor Hill.
Yes.
Councilor Tesorero.
Yes.
Councilor Wilmot.
Yes. Item number 15, Lieutenant Charles Sear is requesting permission to send one police officer to the 2018 New York State Department of Criminal Justice Services Special Weapons and Tactics Operator course to be held in Oriskany, New York. This course is broken into 4 parts: March 26th through March 30th, 2018, April 2nd through April 6th, 2018, April 16th through April 20th, 2018, and April 23rd through April 26th, 2018. Lieutenant?
He's the newest member of our special response team, so we're looking to send him to the training so that he's going to be certified through DCJS.
Questions or concerns? Yes.
Is this a SWAT team practice? Is this sort of like a SWAT team training?
Yes.
Oh boy, I love it too. Is it 16? Lieutenant?
M4s.
Oh really? With the kickboxing too?
Thank you, Mr. Becker.
Anytime, Rob.
Any other comments or concerns?
Is money in the budget for this already? We're all covered, right?
Yeah, and it's the most it's going to be is for this training is free, other than the backfill and overtime. And as long as all of our recruits do well, and if they make it out, it may even be less than that. But that's the most it's going to be. But yes, it is in the budget.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other concerns, questions? Seeing none, can I have a motion? Councilor Hill, Councilor Tesorio?
Councilor Corradino.
Yes.
Councilor DeMasi.
Yes.
Councilor Hill.
Yes.
Councilor Tesorero.
Yes.
Councilor Wilmot.
Yes. Let's see, this seems different. Lieutenant Charles Sear is requesting permission to send 2 police officers to the New York Tactical Officers Association Conference to be held in Verona, New York from April 24th, 2018 through April 26th, 2018. Lieutenant?
For the last number of years, we try to send a couple officers up there, take advantage of a bunch of training. This year, once again, they're going to be doing some rescue task force and some scenario-based training, as well as the active shooter response for citizens and civilians.
School district too, Rob?
Yes, hopefully.
Thank you.
And there is no lodging required because they're going back and forth.
Correct. We'll be traveling back and forth.
Got it. Any other questions, concerns? Seeing none, can I have a motion? Tesorio and Councilor DeMasi.
Councilor Corradino.
Yes.
Councilor DeMasi.
Yes.
Councilor Hill.
Yes.
Councilor Tesorero.
Yes.
Councilor Wilmot.
Yes. Item number 17, the city clerk's office is requesting permission for the city chamberlain to transfer the amount of $1,300 from the general fund contingent account A.1990.0460 to the city clerk's materials and supplies account A.1410.0410. This transfer will enable the city clerk's office to purchase 6 new dehumidifiers for use in the records department. Mr. Tesorio.
Sure. So this is to purchase 6 new 50-pint dehumidifiers. They're approximately $200 each. We originally thought they were going to be $225, which is why we requested the $1,300, but it turns out we can get them for $200. So this would give us a total of 8 units, which is the number of cubic feet we need to cover in the basement for the records. We currently have 6 units. The reason we need 2 additional units is we've added the old code enforcement room for records keeping, so that's the extra 2. Currently we have 6 units. 1 is dead, 3 are 25 years old, so I imagine that they're about at the end of their life, so we're anticipating that. 2 of the units are less than 3 years old. So, like I said, we need the 8 instead of 6 because of the new space. So this is just anticipating that we'll need to get those and add the two.
All right. Questions for Mr. Tesorial? For his dehumidifiers? Seeing none, can I have a motion? Tesorial, Councilor Tomasi.
Counsel Coordino.
Yes.
Counselor DeMassey.
Yes.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Tesoriero.
Yes.
Counselor Wilmot.
Yes.
Item number 18, Mayor William J. Barlow Jr. requests discussion of the following: $53,825 for summer youth program, $50,000 with required Social Security benefit of $3,825, and $56,886 for additional code personnel, $48,303 in salary with required benefits of $8,583. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Counselor. The Summer Youth Program, just looking to expand that program. Right, we budgeted $50,000, which roughly hires 5 to 6 kids for approximately 6 months. I'm just looking to double that so we can hire approximately 10 kids for 6 months. The reason is last year we found that the Summer Youth Program was extremely productive. This program had kids down at the marina through Brightbeck Park, and also if you walk the West Linear Park, you'll see that the light poles are painted, the railings are painted, because they started from the lake and worked all the way up to as far, I think, Bridey Manor before the funding ran out. So I'd like to expand this program, continue and expand the program so we can do more projects like this, like painting that railing and similar projects. Additionally, the DPW, as you know, is always busy to begin with, but this summer, with a lot of the Complete Streets projects, Water Street project, Riverwalk projects, the Harbor Trail improvements, they are going to be extremely busy with the projects that we've already laid out, not even mention what's still to come in the work that the council will request being done, park prep and everything else. So I think it's a wise investment to expand the summer youth program rather than hiring full-time employees. Also, the code enforcement, this funding is for an additional code enforcer. This is something I laid out in my State of the City. The code enforcement program, since taking office in 2016, we've expanded on the department every year, and the numbers and productivity has complemented that expansion every single year. 2 years, a 318% rise in complaints, 333% rise in documented code violations. I have the building permit numbers, the rental permit numbers, the revenue numbers. I've said these numbers so many times, you know the numbers. The revenue one is interesting because code enforcement is really the only office at City Hall that pays for itself. So you could always make that justification when allocating money to expand the program. So I'd like to keep going, continue the momentum. We'll have some more code initiatives tonight and in the coming weeks and months. So there's plenty of work to do. And I think a code enforcement officer will only increase productivity further.
Mayor, any questions from the council for the mayor on these requests? Any other issues or concerns from the audience? Not seeing any. Can I have a motion? Tesorial, Councilor Hill.
Counselor Coordino.
Yes.
Counselor DeMassey.
Yes.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Tesoriero.
Yes.
Counselor Wilmot.
Yes.
I believe that was the last and final item under the Administrative Services Committee meeting for tonight. Is there any other issues that we need to talk about? Seeing none, I have a motion to adjourn. Councilor DeMassey, Councilor Wilmot.
Counselor Coordino.
Yes.
Counselor DeMassey.
Yes.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Tesoriero.
Yes.
Counselor Wilmot.
Yes. This time I would like to call the Planning and Development meeting Tuesday, February 20th, 2018.
Counselor Tesoriero.
Yes.
Counselor Coordino.
Yes.
Counselor McBrearty.
I have a motion to approve the minutes of February 5th, 2018.
Counselor Tesoriero.
Yes.
Counselor Coordino.
Yes.
Counselor McBrearty.
Very old business. None? We'll go right to the authorization. Mayor William J. Barlow, Jr. seeks favorable consideration by the
Common Council for the review and adoption of local law number 1, 2018, amending chapter 211 of the city code and implementing a local law for the enforcement of snow and ice removal in the city limits.
Thank you, Councilor. I'll tie in, I'll speak to both items 1 and 2 if you don't mind, because they're really the same issue. The idea behind this initiative is to take our code enforcement program and focus more on nuisance. I call them nuisance violations because they are the smaller issues that maybe they do not pose an immediate or imminent threat to the health and safety of a tenant, but they clearly detract from the appearance of our neighborhoods and the value of neighboring property. And these are issues like tall grass, unshoveled sidewalks, exposed garbage in the front lawn, indoor furniture on an exterior porch, junk, toys, etc. in the front yard consistently for consecutive days. And these are the issues that, at least as a counselor, that I received, right, through the code office. I don't know if I ever had a neighbor call in and say, look, my neighbor's house is falling down. That has me concerned. Generally, the complaints that I received as counselor, even as mayor, involved the neighbor next door isn't cutting their grass, or there's junk in the front yard or backyard, or garbage on the porch, or garbage overflowing and attracting rodents. So I view this area with these nuisance violations as more of the pressing issues to our constituents, but also simple issues that we should be able to remedy quickly without doing too much damage to the appearance and the value of our neighborhoods. The only thing better than remedying the situation quicker than we are now, I believe, is preventing the violation from happening in the first place. And that is the idea behind sticking a fine to the violation. Right now, if the grass is too tall, if garbage is out in the front lawn, if a sidewalk is not shoveled, the process it's observed by our complaint investigator. They have to receive written notification. So usually the complaint investigator will go do his patrols in the morning, come back to the office, write the written notification to each property for the violations, mail that letter, which takes 2 or 3 days. That letter gives, at least in the area of shoveling snow, 24 hours to rectify or remedy the situation. And if 24 hours passes after they receive the letter, so we're in day 3, day 2 at the earliest, probably day 3 where the property's in violation, then the city mows the lawn or clears the snow. Right now we put the value of the work conducted in addition to a surcharge on the tax bill. The surcharge right now, if the value of work is $1 to $99, it's a $100 surcharge. $100 to $200, $150 surcharge, goes up by $50 every time. And that surcharge and the value of the work is applied to their property taxes, so they pay that when they pay their taxes. What this proposal does is keeps the surcharge value the same for the same value of work, but it attaches an associated fine on top of the surcharge. And the idea there goes back to the idea of trying to make our code office more proactive rather than reactive in trying to stop the violation from occurring in the first place. Once the grass is too tall, or once the sidewalk goes 2, 3, 4 days without being shoveled, the damage is already done. People have already driven by and seen the grass too tall. They've already seen the junk out front. The garbage exposed has already attracted rodents and has caused headaches for neighboring homeowners. Children have already had to walk in the road because the person took 4 days to shovel their sidewalk, which has been more evident now this winter than at least my first 2 as mayor. So attaching this fine, I believe, should get the attention of the violators who consistently cause these violations and issues over and over and over again. And as we've proven with rental permits, with water meters and many other issues, the only way to get the attention of these these people who violate the code consistently is to attach a fine and hit them in the pocketbook. So that's what this fine does. In addition to the proposal, I've directed the Code Enforcement Department and the Legal Department to spend more time, expedite, and prioritize the prosecution of these offenses as well. These, can be viewed as more petty offenses and little issues that you hope are remedied quickly and never happen again, but it's just not the case, and they keep happening. And the only way to stop that, in addition to attaching the fine, is trying to put together the cases, which takes an incredible amount of time and resources from both code and legal, and get them to court, and you rely on the city judge to levy a penalty that really gets the property owner's attention. That is unrealistic to rely on that, on taking everybody to court to turn the tide. So if that was easy to do and didn't take a lot of time, and we had a bigger legal department and a bigger code enforcement department, we maybe wouldn't need this fine, and you would just take them to court and prosecute them and hope for the best. It's just not realistic, and that's why I think this fine is appropriate. And the proposed schedule of the fine increases exponentially for every violation. So if you violate the code and you're documented, and the violation's documented, you are notified in the 1 or 2 days it takes to mail the letter, you do not rectify the issue. In the 24 hours we give you, you still do not rectify the issue. Then we levy the fine, and if you've had no prior code violations, the fine amount for the first time is $75. If you've had a previous violation, it goes up to $150. If you've had 2 violations, it goes up to $300. If you've had 3 or more, we're talking $500 a time, and I guarantee that that will get landlords and others, that'll get their attention, and they will put a little more effort into maintaining their property and being a good neighbor before they decide they want to violate the code again. I should be clear, it's not just a code issue at this point. I mean, it becomes, particularly in the terms of shoveling sidewalks, a safety issue that has been more obvious now this winter than ever, seeing children walking in the road on the way to school and on the way home from school. The other change that this proposal makes is currently in the code, it requires homeowners or property owners to shovel their sidewalk by 7 p.m. I propose to change that to 7 a.m. To try to get ahead of the kids walking to school in the morning. Now people are going to say, how am I going to wake up that early? The time of 7 a.m. doesn't come into effect until it stops snowing. You have 7 a.m. until the next day. So if it stops snowing at 10 a.m., you have until 7 a.m. the next day to get out there before we even, technically we don't show up to work here till 9 anyway, before we even get around to patrolling the neighborhoods. So that is one point I want to make. And then of course, you can come up with the scenarios where it stops snowing at 12:01 a.m. and what 7 a.m. are we talking about? And I think that obviously can be dealt with when the time comes, but I don't think what's laid out in this proposal is unrealistic in any way. The last point I'll make is I know that there's going to be homeowners that say, why are you fining us? I'm elderly, I'm disabled, I can't shovel my sidewalk as quickly as this proposal wants me to. We do the best we can. The city needs to do a better job with their public space, which is true. But that narrative just doesn't back up reality, because reality is, and it really is the main premise of this entire proposal, is we're going after the people who violate the code consistently. And you can get on the city website, my Facebook page, where I publish the code violation reports every month, and see that it is the same names and the same LLCs and the same commercial properties with the same violations month after month after month. So the idea that homeowners are caught in the crossfire, it isn't any different from if the homeowner was caught in the crossfire for any other code violation. Why do you open up the code report every month and see the same names with the same violations? And if you look at the code report from January, this issue is no different. There are about 249 documented violations in the January report. 105 of those, approximately, are unshoveled sidewalks. And if you go through the list, which I just did, cruising through with the names I'm familiar, easily half are LLCs, known rental properties, foreclosed properties owned and managed by a bank, vacant properties, or, yes, there are some owner-occupied properties. I know that there's at least one in the code report that every time I walk my dog, they do not shovel the sidewalk. And it is an owner-occupied property, but the sidewalk's never shoveled. So they are going to get cited, and yes, I'm sorry, they are going to get fined. But after you've had already 4 days before the fine was even placed on the property, it's hard to be sympathetic, especially when you are a consistent violator, which, as you know as counselors, is really who we pursue, consistent violators and the properties that continuously cause problems. And we're mainly a complaint-driven department, which it's easy to forget when you're trying to make another argument, but as counselors, you know we are mainly a complaint-driven department. And when somebody complains, we respond, and that takes up a majority of our time in the work we do. So I have told the code department that with this proposal, I would like to focus around school neighborhoods, because this summer or this winter has been a really bad problem as far as kids walking on the road. We've all seen it, the Facebook posts, the complaints, at least to my office. So I would like to see some focus in that area, but generally I think we're going after the people we need to go after. Yep.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I just wanted to fast forward, let's say this does pass. As far as getting into implementation, I know when I first started on the council, we did have a private contractor that was addressing, and I am talking about grass now, not snow.
Yep.
We did have a private contractor that the city hired who would address the high grass and when cut. I'm assuming, and I don't like to assume, I know we talked about that earlier today, but it seems like we're talking about using city personnel for that. I just want to make sure that, and you just indicated in the previous meeting that we're hiring another 5 more people under the youth program to address some things that the city DPW can't get to. So I guess what I'm asking is, are we going to hire a contractor for the high grass?
I think at the end of the day, that's the council's decision. Now, if you were asking me, so let me first say that decision hasn't been made yet. And if it is made, it has to come before council to execute that contract. If you're asking me, I would prefer to hire a contractor, because then when councilors make requests for work orders, when our constituents make requests for work orders, as I said with the summer kids, there's no shortage of work for the DPW. That I can promise you. And a lot of the neglect, deferred maintenance, lack of beautification projects, lack of actually doing good work by the city for the last few years, I think has been, which has prevented the city from making progress, in my opinion, has been because the DPW has been tied up with these things that don't necessarily move the city forward. So I'm always in favor of taking work like this, putting it into a contract and having a private contractor do, which, usually they do quicker than the DPW does anyway. And we all, the 8 of us, have plenty of jobs we can give the DPW if they aren't doing this. So that's my recommendation, and if you're asking my opinion, ultimately it's, councilors are going to be the ones putting in work orders, and you're going to hear me say it's on the list, and you're going to hear Kells say, pending, if we don't have a water main break tomorrow, we should get there Friday. You know how that goes. So, I'll take your recommendation, or you can give me a direction on how you guys feel. My preference is a contractor. For both, for tall grass and removing snow. I think, if it's snowing, our guys are in plows. For the most part, 90% of the DPW personnel are in plows when it's snowing. After it's snowing, assuming there isn't a water main break or a lift station down or the million other things, the city public space is clear, DPW could do it, or you can contract that out. I would contract that out too, but that all depends on the winter as well. I mean, this winter, in December and January, we were in way over our heads at the DPW. Now, business is okay. We're making gains. You have a water main break that happens seemingly every other day, but when that doesn't happen and we get a break, we can handle some of the work. So, that's a long answer, but...
Thank you for answering that.
Yes.
I just want to make it clear, and you said it earlier, that the city doesn't really pay for the cleaning of the sidewalk or the cutting of the grass. It goes on the person's taxes.
Correct.
So it
Yeah.
seems to me that we should free up those hard-working
Sure.
DPW workers for more important jobs.
Yep, we front the cost, right? They rack up an invoice, however the contract states. We front the cost and get the money back when they pay their taxes, if they pay their taxes.
This has been going on for 37, 38 years, this stuff. Snow melts, okay? And you gave me too many compliments last week about me taking care of my corner over there. At 70 years old, I can take care of my 2 or 3 corners up there. But you can't expect everybody to. And they've been finding the hell out of everybody for 38 years, too, by the way. Cahill did the same thing, Bill. No problem. I'm not against you here, okay? Yeah. As long as you don't hit me. But anyway, the thing is, these repeat offenders, you can find them. You can jack their fines up. And by the way, the banks take care of their own properties, okay? They hire people out. Did you know that? I'm sure you do. Somewhat. Can we say somewhat?
Largely, no, but maybe.
Well, get at them, for crying out loud. Where's Pathfinder? Anyway, look at You like it, don't you, Tom? Look at
Well, Pathfinder, you're going to get me in trouble. Pathfinder's very good. Local banks are great. The banks in Texas,
you're a very
California.
cooperative person, by the way. I know, I understand. Out-of-state bankers, they're terrible. They shouldn't be giving loans out from Texas up here in New York State. And I know a couple property owners up here who did get loans there, and they're out of business right now. Now look at, winter's over almost, okay? The snow's almost gone. I wrecked my knee on the bridge over there, railroad bridge, on an ice cube. I pulled a muscle here. You think I'm going to sue you guys for that? No, I'm over it now. About a week or two later, I'm ready to jump at it again. This is something you got to get over here, all right? You cannot get out there and get on these people. Now, some landlords, and we all know who the landlords are, Bill, Mayor. We all know who they are because it's pretty obvious here. You just go up by the old liquor store that's burned down now and take a look at that sidewalk once in a while. I see enough. But at 70 years old, I can still take care of my sidewalks, and I don't think there's any excuse out there for not taking care of their own. Okay? But the bureaucracy here has got to slow down from, 3 or 4 days later, you're finally getting a hold of them. No. One day, give them 1 day and tell them to get out there and do something. None of this 3-day stuff with Jamie Metcalf over there. Come on. I've had enough of him, too.
Any other discussion? Yes, Councilor Hill.
Mr. Chair, I just want to say that I appreciate stiffening the penalties, particularly for the snow removal, because this winter, as the mayor mentioned, has been worse than a few of the past winters. And every time we had a significant snowfall, we would have landlords, property owners on Bridge Street who would not remove the snow. And with the quantity of snow that we received this year, the sidewalks were completely impassable. And there were young children in Bridge Street, walking directly next to traffic that's moving fast by them. on slippery roads. I mean, it's just it's a situation that's setting up for a disaster. You know, the way it goes, the busiest, most dangerous street happens to be the street where probably a significant amount of these offenses occur. So it really, anything we can do to try to cut back on that, to make it safer for everyone, certainly for Mayor Gibbons.
I just want to chime in as well. Again, Mayor Barlow knows we're neighbors. Kingsford Park, in that vicinity, I know you referred to school. It was terrible, and I can't use my name or corporation's my name, but we had everybody, homeowners who were there to large corporations didn't even, after being notified, didn't even shovel and block the block. Definitely, I think, fine. Hopefully, will serve as a deterrent. I know it will for the people that I live near because we can't afford it. And you know, I got to admit, everyone once in a while for this. And, you know, you wake up, and you wait, and you see people, then you feel bad. You come outside a couple hours later, and you finally go out, and you see an old lady walking her dog, and you're like, you're following her with a shovel because you feel bad. You should get out there, but this will make the. I think if it's publicized well enough, maybe it's a big thing. I think the concern Rob presented was older people that may be incapacitated, or even just ordinary working people that are actually working and not there, you know, maybe on funny shifts when we come back. I think that if we publicize it well, I think the safety issue is most important. You know, we get here in Oswego, it's a big concern. Somebody's going to get hurt. One in the school, one in the high school, one in the park. Do I have a motion? Oh, she can't. That's, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Counselor Testerero.
Yes.
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
Counselor McBrearty. Counselor Testerero.
Yes.
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
Counselor McBrearty.
Yes. Thank you, Counselor. I know everybody's been dying to know the results of the 2017 Winter Parking Survey. And I know this is not like the Oscars. It is big news here in Oswego. As some of you might remember, back in end of November, everybody who was a resident in the city of Oswego, some people in Scriba got these by mistake. But how it worked was using the U.S. Postal Service's EDDM program. The city is divided into a number of postal routes, and we utilized that program and sent cards out to approximately, not approximately, but a total of 8,902 people. Of the 8,902 surveys that were sent out, we received 1,135 surveys back in the mail, and we received 1,135 were returned. Of that, 843 were postcards, and 292 were online, because we also had the survey available on the website, city website. There were a number of questions well, let me backtrack also. The previous council, and I see there's a member here in the audience, so maybe he's here to take blame or credit for this. The previous council saw in its wisdom to look for additional information on helping us possibly change what we have now. Currently, as everybody knows, we have a winter parking ban, and there is an opportunity for somebody to get an off-street parking spot if they apply for a permit and they qualify, and they also pay the fee. So again, total ban with permitted parking. I don't have the current numbers on how many people were authorized. You know off the top of your head? 18 people qualified last year under the current program to have a parking space on the street. So I know the previous council had conversations on where do we go, do we do anything, do we tweak it, do we go back to a full ban. So again, this was our decision to come up with a survey to possibly provide information that would provide insight to this current council and to help them maybe make changes. So I'll just read it real quick. Question number 1, do you rent or own? 15% said they rented, 84% said they owned. Number 2, what ward did you reside? I can't see the monitor, but question number 2, it does show Ward 1 had 18%, Ward 2, 13% responded, Ward 3, 11.8%, Ward 4, about 16%, Ward 5, 15%, 11, and 14%. Question 3, number of vehicles at this address. Again, should be on the display. As you can see, the number of vehicles, 2 seem to be the most number of vehicles at houses at 525, with number 2 being number of vehicles number 1. Number of residents in the household, it appears that of the respondents, majority of them, there were 2 people in a residence. That accounted for 480. Question number 3, which actually seemed to be misinterpreted by many people. It said number of current off-street parking spots you have. Many people who said they wanted a complete ban also said they have multiple cars and no off-street parking. And another example, people who have driveways and or garages stated they had no off-street parking. So we basically threw that question out because the data just wasn't accurate. And question number 6, I think, is quite illuminating. If you break it down, there were 4 choices. Do you support complete ban, alternate side parking, no ban, or permitted parking? As you can see, the complete ban, over 50% of the people wanted a complete ban. And if you take and add the other 3 choices, that comes up to about 49.7%. So it appears that half the people are for a complete ban and almost half the people are for something else. At this point, I think that's my full report on the 2017 Winter Parking Survey, and I'd like to get some input or comments from the council, the current council, or previous council members, or the public on this.
The hardest part of the survey, in my opinion, is when you look at anybody, they're going to answer to their own purpose. They have driveways, a lot of folks won't think outside those walls and say, okay, what would be best for the community, change cars. So I think it's tough to look at the survey and think that, you know, it really did a lot of stuff for that simple reason. And look at those, you know, majority of the people were just basing it on their own, just looking at the stores. They aren't thinking outside, you know, outside the window. What could we have for community? How about homes that don't have driveways? Homes we were trying to set. So, that's my opinion on the survey. Where we go from here, and we look forward.
Just to kind of go off of what Linda said, what I was most impressed with, because I was the one who ended up compiling all this and read all part of it.
Can you state your name? In the interest of transparency.
Mr. Corradino. Eva Corradino, 7th Ward. There you go. I was very heartened and impressed by the fact that there were a great many people who have no skin in the game in the sense that you said they have their own driveway. You would think that's it. there were a lot of people who have plenty of their own parking, but feel something should be done for other people. And I was really impressed by it, and, you know, having grown up here, I knew who some of these people were. Some of these were my parents' contemporaries. They're older people who certainly you would think would be stuck with, yep, we've always done it this way, let's do this. And they weren't. They're concerned about their neighbors. And I know it's a 50-50 split here in terms of who replied and how they wanted it to go, but I think the fact that half of the people are looking for an alternative weighs heavy.
Councilman McCurry. Councilor Goss. Yeah, just again, I read through everyone. I'm sure you all did. It made for very interesting reading. Tonight I thought I could sum up what I had to say very concisely by sharing at least a couple of these. This one, the first one, I thought, Rob and I, a couple of years ago. You know, we've been over this, not to beating a dead horse here, but this has been brought up. Legislation for the limited parking on the budget thing. Maybe not, but it was pretty close. You know, one person here said they just signed it, name taxpayer, but it says this is not a complex issue. And that goes with Susan said, get the cars off the street, get the cars off the road so the plows can do their job. One lady, this is the one man said, faster, better, clean up, wanted to ban, obviously it's a ban. This one was my favorite one, actually, because it wasn't the ban, the president worked very well. He changed the requirement. We worked with the ban, basically, the mayor wanted to ban permit. I had two in my ward as a city. They can sell the plows and do their job, and some of these people might work with them. One of them without any parking. Anyway, so the winner gets the permit, the other guy's in the well. You know, two people out of the whole ward, I think, over 50,000 people. My favorite one was this one. It's hard enough to go around with the cars on the street on a good day anyway in the winter. I'm with this guy here. But bottom line, the last thing is I also found this issue didn't really adhere to any political allegiances. I thought this was the most ironic one. I found one from a stalwart Republican and Democrat going back to the 1990s and 20 years ago. Left, but one was from, if you don't mind, I don't think either of them would mentioning their names. One of them was my father, former mayor, who said, let the DPW keep the streets clean, get the cars off the road, like we always did. Now that's conservative Republican. Here's the most liberal Democrat I know in the city, John Kerr Smith, who he ran against in the 1990s. He says the same thing. He'd like the ban. He says we get too much snow for alternate street parking. The plows can't plow as soon as possible. It was a disaster the year that we tried alternate street parking. So I just wanted to share those because I read through hundreds of them, and I thought they reflected a lot of people's sentiments in town and also everything we've gone over. I don't think it's a complicated issue. And they need to be able to get up and down the road. And also the expense. I mean, I know it would be convenient. It might attract more people here, and the home values might go up. But the reality is when you add more cars to the streets, like you open the permit system up to say 2 cars per house. Now, how many? You have hundreds? I mean, the DPW official can tell you. But it's going to cost more. It's going to cost the homeowners more too, because they're saying that once they come through, they have to have it plowed out once, and then after they move the cars and they plow again, Homeowners are picking up added expense of having to have plows come twice or expend their own energy. So, I mean, I think the system right now is pretty good, but I'm obviously open to that. And I do believe, and I got to be honest, I think that if it was done right the first time, alternate street parking could work. I got examples from people giving me the example they use in like Portland, Maine, and Canada. I read through both sides, and you know, obviously it could work, and I think we're enlightened enough to realize that. But here in Oswego, being one of the hardest hit areas, I mean, we're known for our snow. And the bottom line is this winter reminds us of that. We're making a couple mild ones. I think that alternate system being put here works very well, and I don't know if we really need to change it.
Councilor Hill, through the chair. I think it's important that we understand that in my ward, in your ward, in Rob's ward, this may not be a complicated issue. I've had, you know, one constituent report to me that they want alternate street parking. So if I was purely motivated by my constituents, I would say alternate. But we have to understand there are other wards in the city where this is an issue. And I see a contingent from the first ward here and someone from the sixth. But, you know, a lot of the city's tax revenue comes from certain areas of the city. And if there are homes in those areas that don't have parking, we should at least be considerate of those things. And I'm not saying we should dictate policy, but we shouldn't just, you know, write it off as a non-complicated issue. When, I mean, the fact that there's a split, you know, it is somewhat complicated. My problem is that the data that we have right now is not complete. It's not scientific. It is a lot of the surveys that I've read gave the appearance that the individuals were confused by some of the questions. They may not have even known what alternate street parking is because they just may not have that information. So I don't want to say that it's not useful at all, but I'm very weary of using the results of the survey to dictate city policy when, one, the people that completed it probably don't have an understanding of how traffic works, how the DPW works, how flow of traffic, things like that actually function together. So I think, and I'm not ready to move full on in this direction, but I think more work needs to be done to actually determine what the city needs to fix the problem. I think this is not, it's a start, but I don't think it gives us the information we need to make the best decision. But I think we also need to be mindful that there are different wards in the city and different people with different objectives and different needs. And if we have, you know, even 5 homes in a ward that are assessed at $200,000 to $300,000 and they're generating a significant amount of tax revenue for the city, we should at least give them a forum where they can speak to us instead of just saying, not a complicated issue, we're not going to. Again, I'm not saying I support alternate street parking because I don't feel that I'm knowledgeable enough to say that I support it. I know the ban is what we've had, and a lot of people think it works fine, and that's the way we should go, but we should at least listen to everyone and take into consideration their thoughts, their needs. That's what we're here to do.
A lot of what you said is what I was thinking when I was here, but Mr. House, when you said EV permits, was that all the import as a whole, or that's all that qualifies?
Qualified. People put in that had his car.
Right, yeah. You have a lot.
course, overwhelmed support. And all our, but from safety standpoint, emergency vehicle has to be on different days. When they go out, the DPW go out, a narrow street, sometimes, you know, you say 24 hours, I agree 24 hours, but snow becomes a lot harder to move 24 hours. It's a lot more time now. It's hard, it's, you know, it's a lot more difficult. You know, fire that we just recently had, you know, on Bridge Street, that's on a smaller street. You know, it becomes that much more difficult. Lives at stake. I mean, safety issues have to be resolved. Like I said, I'm speaking from a board that is overwhelmingly supports and I get what everybody's saying, but ultimately, the decision is so important to the state security, and that has to be controlled also. Somebody mentioned the fire truck, and you know, now we've got to call the dirty road to get apparatus down the road. I mean, I don't think any of us want that. We don't. But those are things. And to go back twice, maneuver around when you've been in, you know, in that situation, it takes a lot longer. So now you're going to get the calls like I get. Why is my street running? Well, you know, these are all things that spin around. And I agree with what Kevin said. And what I said. You know, it's unique. I can't speak for the Kevin Council. As John mentioned, that he went into, you know, he talked about it a lot. You know, ultimately, though, we got to make a decision. We got to do something we're going to stick by, not just today, tomorrow, this year, next year. I mean, it's something we're going to establish and agree to that. Now, this is a discussion. Everybody has a discussion. We're not here to vote on. Everybody's opinion is valid. Anybody in the audience still want to speak? Yeah.
I have a suggestion. I think there are as many opinions as there are people in this room and as well as homeowners. So you have the survey that can be a basis to build on. They've talked about a traffic study in the past, and rather than doing a citywide one, I suggest that each of you pick the most problematic streets from your own ward, whether it's streets with multiple tenants and student housing, or streets that have no parking at all. Do a traffic study for those streets and help those residents. I think that if we apply the solution to where the most problem is, the whole city will be better off.
Got something to discuss? Good discussion. Coordino? Counselor?
Counselor Testerero.
Yes.
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
Counselor McBrody.